Hello and welcome my partners in crime. Welcome back to Murder Analysed, another unsolved case, missing case number 15, and we're getting there. Anyway, today's case, let's get straight into this. On the 11th of May 2011, 6-year-old American boy Timothy James, I think it's Pitzen, was dropped off at school in Illinois by his father James. Now, he was then, I think, picked up shortly afterwards by his mother Amy, Fry-Pitzen, who took him on a 3-day trip through various amusement parks and this sort of stuff, you know, and water parks. And his mother body was subsequently found in a motel room in the city of Rockford, having committed suicide, with a note stating that Timothy was safe, but he would never be found. Now, bloody shocking case, that one, isn't it, really? When you think the father's dropped him at school, the mother's picked him up, drove off. It looks like she's took him around a few places, a few days to give him the time of his life, then decides not only she's going to end her life, but she's going to give him away to somebody. That's what it really looks like in this case. Shocking case, really. So look, Timothy was born in, as I said, on October 18th, 2004. He was the only child of James and Amy. And on the 11th of May 2011, Timothy's father, as I said, dropped him off at school, off at kindergarten, so it's only young as 6 years old. And this, it was Greenman Elementary School he dropped him off at, and his mother then checked him out of class between 8:10 and 8:15 a.m. So I think what she's done, she's watched for the father to take him in. He's gone, she's literally gone in and signed this kid out, and they would have had to give this child to her. She was the mother. She had parental responsibility as well for him. They couldn't have stopped her. She could have said anything, couldn't she? And they took the child. She took the child, and that's it. Now, I think she said to them that she cited that there was some family emergency, and she dropped her vehicle off at a repair shop at 10 a.m. And then employees of that shop drove the mother, Pitzen, and her son to this Brookfield Zoo. So you think, okay, listen, what was going through this woman's mind? So this boy was 6. She obviously felt in her mind that he was better off somewhere else. Now, whether she meant he's in a better place and you'll never find him is that she has took his life before killing herself. So was it a murder-suicide? We don't know. Or whether she has arranged to give this child to somebody and they have then brought this child up as their own. Or she has given this child to somewhere else and something else has happened to this child. Listen, this case is very, very, I think, you know, a very sad case for so many reasons, really, here. That this child, you know, we just nobody really knows, do we, what's happened to this boy. Very, very sad. So at 3 p.m, she returned to retrieve their vehicle that she'd put into the shop at 10 a.m. Now, the only thing that worries me in this case is if you was going to kill yourself and everything else, take your own life, why would you have your car fixed? Because they dropped him off at the zoo. She's come back, hasn't she? She's picked them up. You know, she's retrieved this vehicle at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She's then drove to this, I think, Key Lime Cove resort, and then spent the night there. Then on May the 12th, 2011, the pair drove to Wisconsin, this resort in Wisconsin, Dells, I think, Wisconsin, where they were spotted on security footage checking out at a checkout line about 10 a.m. So the next day, that was it. That was the last time, I think, that they were seen. So, you know, had she fixed her car, you know, and it's a terrible thing for me to say, but had she fixed her car, given her son the best days of his life, then picked her car up to drive her son somewhere and maybe has sold the son, because this happens, you know, a lot. It happens a lot. Or was meant to happen, and then that perpetrator may have made it look like she'd committed suicide and took the child and left the note. You know, there's so many variables or theories what could have happened here, really. Because if she hadn't have fixed her car, spent that money on fixing her car to pick it up, because you wouldn't do that if you're about to take your own life. You just wouldn't, would you? You just wouldn't do it. Now, between 12 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. on May the 13th, 2011, she phoned or telephoned several members of her family, including her mother, her brother-in-law, telling them that she and Timothy were fine, there was nothing to worry about, they weren't in any danger. Now, the cell phone records indicates that the calls came from the area of northwest of Sterling, I think it's Illinois, on Route 40. So this woman, hadn't she? She'd rung everyone she wanted to speak to, her mother, her brother-in-law, stuff like this, to try and say, actually, don't worry, everything's okay, we're fine, we're fine. But who she hadn't rung was her husband, or, ex-husband, whatever, but I think they were still married, actually, so it was her husband, to say, I picked up the child and we're going. I picked up Timothy and I took him out for the day. But this man didn't find out his child was missing until he turned up at the school to pick this child up. And then they told him, well, hang on a minute, your wife, the mother of Timothy, picked him up between 8, 10 past 8, quarter past 8, 20 past 8 time this morning. They've been gone. There's a lot of hours now gone, isn't it, really, that this child has been missing. So I think what her mother had said and the brother-in-law had said, that in the background of this phone call, Timothy was stating, and they could hear him saying that he was hungry on this call. So listen, now you have this pair now gone off somewhere. So she's picked up this boy, they've gone. She's had the car fixed, took him to the zoo, done this, that and the other, drove everywhere else. And then you have now the father frantic, now looking for this child. Of course, then they've heard that the family have heard and that the child's okay, but he was hungry. Then at about 7:25 p.m. on the May the 13th, 2011, she was seen alone on security cameras at the family dollar store in Winnebago, I think it's Illinois, where she purchased a pen, a notepad and envelopes. At 8 p.m. she was sighted at a Sullivan's food store in this Winnebago, and again unaccompanied. So where was this child, and who was this child with? This child was only 6, don't forget. So at 11:15 p.m. she checked into this Rockford Inn in Rockford, where at some time that night or the next morning she took her own life by slashing her wrists and neck and overdosed. Right? At 12:30 p.m. on May the 14th, 2011, her body was found in the hotel by the hotel maid, along with a note. And in the note, she says and apologises for the mess that she has created, and explains that Timothy would never be found, but was safe with people who he would be cared for. Now, oh my God. So we have a woman. I have to put a trigger warning out earlier on in this, I think. Now I'm just reading this. So she slashed her wrists and her neck. And so, I don't know, was it looked into enough? Is it a real suicide or not? I'm not really sure. And what had she done? She was out with this child for once, and then she was sighted, and then all of a sudden she was seen alone. This child was already gone. So where had he gone? So if you have any information on this case, really, it's really important that you come up, if you've sighted this person or this children or this child anywhere in them times that I've said, it's really important. It's important really that someone comes forward, because if someone has this child, or if this child has been, took somewhere else, or his life had been ended, people need to know really. So police, of course, have checked then this scene, haven't they now, forensically checked it, and they've said that the blood that they found at the scene was only the mother's, and she had sort of killed herself and it contained only her blood, and there would have been a lot of blood if you cut your wrists and your neck. In the hotel room, that it was only her blood. Then you have little amount or amount of blood found in the car of Timothy's, and then I think what they've said is, or the family members have said later, that they've revealed the stains of this blood, because it's dried blood, were likely caused by this nosebleed that he had suffered in the car earlier that month. It was also noted that she had, the cell phone was missing. Now, in examination of her vehicle, it was also had been parked on a grassy area, possibly near a stream, but close to the highway. In 2013, her phone, or her cell phone, was located by the roadside of Route 78, but the discovery again didn't bring any new evidence at all. And that was Route 78 of Mount Carroll, Illinois, and that was according to police. So James Pitzen, he stated that he believes his son is still alive. The case was broadcast actually on American television series Live PD on August the 25th, 2018. And I think it had a guest there, Hartman, I think her name was, and that was from the National Centre of Missing and Exploited Children. Do great work across America, absolutely fantastic. And the show reveals the age progression photo of Timothy now at the age of 13, or at the age of 13 in 2018. We're now in 2021, going on to 2022. Again, there's been no sightings or anything of this child. It's really important, if you know anything, you come forward. So on April the 3rd, 2019, local residents in Newport, Kentucky, called the police on reports of a teenager wandering the streets after running across a bridge over the Ohio River. So you had a boy running over this Ohio River, and police found this. He was shaking, he was very distraught at that time, and that he told the police that he was Timothy. And the next day, the Louisville, I think, or Louisville officers of the FBI revealed that via Twitter that the boy in their custody was not Timothy. Now, Arizona Police Spokesman Sergeant Bill Rowley. And then he says actually that although they are really disappointed that this wasn't Timothy and that it turned out to be a hoax, I mean, it's disgraceful, really, that they remain diligent in their search for Timothy, as a missing persons case remains unsolved but open. As I said, they are still, actively looking. So the man who claimed to be Pitzen was found to be 23-year-old Brian Rennie, who was released from Belmont Correctional Institution in Ohio less than a month prior to his claims, after serving about 14 months on charges of burglary, vandalism. And so, did he just, I don't know why he said it. Rennie was sentenced to 2 years in prison for pleading guilty to the charges of aggravated identity theft relating to that hoax. So we weren't talking about a kid, we're talking about a man, who pretended to be a kid, distraught, got all this going, got the hopes of this family up, as if to think this child's been found, because it has happened that many years later children are found and stuff, but it wasn't. It just wasn't. So if you are out there, right, if this young lad, Timothy, is out there, please contact someone. Now, they're going to ask you questions, as they always do when it's about a missing person, and it would only be questions that Timothy himself would be able to answer, right? They have ways. The police do not need anybody, or these missing people do not need anyone trying to, take advantage of their time. Their time is needed, because there's many people out there that have gone missing and are still missing, and that need them to be searching and to be doing their job. And with hoaxes and stuff like that, you're getting in the way of an investigation. You're upsetting the family members and the people that care about this child or any other missing person that's gone missing. It's really not a great thing to do. It really isn't, to do this at all. So if Timothy is out there and he is able then to get to a phone or anything else and talk to somebody, people are looking for you, and you just need to go to a police station, anything, talk to someone in authority, and they will help you. That would be really good if he's out there alive. If it's anything else that's happened to him, And as we say, we don't know, and his father still believes that he's still alive out there today. If you do know anything, and as I said, if you've seen anything and it may be the slightest bit of information that you think's irrelevant at that time, if you could say it would be great. You may be wrong, it doesn't matter, does it? But any lead is better than none, because this child needs to be brought home. So listen, you know what to do. You can put your thumbs up, you can subscribe, you can like it, but more importantly, you can talk about these cases, you can share these cases out. If you know anything, you say it, because as I always say, somebody always knows something, always. So, thanks for watching. Till the next time. Bye-bye.